I want to ask you more about like specifically if there's a leader who is in a position right now where they are leading and they're just extremely stressed. The they're short staffed. I mean, I'll ask you right now because I think this is an important question, especially in today's climate. Right, there's a lot of
Mhm.
places hurting for people. A lot of places are in that survival phase. They're not necessarily thriving. And I know someone in particular actually
Mhm.
who is a friend of my wife's who is an incredible leader. And I've seen her in action. I've been around her many times. Great human being. And she epitomizes what we're talking about here as an effective leader. But the stresses on this person are immense right now. Their
Mhm.
responsibilities are immense. And she's just moving through and surviving, doing the best that she can. What I mean, and we talked about the effect of stress on your body and your health. And I mean, I've read this book called When the Body Says No
Right.
by Gabor Mate, and it talks exactly about people who have specific stresses and specific patterns. It leads to specific illnesses in different people. The same things lead to the same illnesses and diseases. And my question is, how would you, and I know it's a big question, so I'm curious to see where you take it. How would you advise this person to care for themselves while also operating in this stressful environment as a leader?
Well, if I was just to have a quick conversation with her, would be dramatically different than if I was to work with her. If I was to work with her, I'd want to look at what her leadership style is, because I've created a leadership self-assessment tool that shows 5 different styles of leadership, because each one of those is predisposed to different types of diseases, because each
Mm,
one carries their stress differently. But from what you're talking about in a quick summarization, that when somebody is in that position where they're pretty common, unfortunately, right now, where there's so many demands, there's not enough staff, all of these different things are happening. What ends up taking place is survival, as you said. But survival mentality doesn't get the job done better. It doesn't get the job done more efficiently. That survivor, as if the earth is going to end at any moment, as if she's going to be fired or the company's going to go out of business at any given moment in time. That level of stress does not generate her best response. Her best response comes when she can be far more at peace, when she can be far more balanced. Because when you're at that level of stress at the office, you take it home.
mm,
And when you take it home, if you're in a relationship, whether it's a spouse or your children or a lover, whatever it may be, you're bringing stress into that relationship because you're not really bringing you into that relationship. You've disconnected from you. You become a survivor who's getting through life. And so you lose touch with what your needs are, what your wants are. And you're just going from 100% stress to 98% stress to 100% stress.
yeah.
That ability to say it's Friday and I'm done, I'm going into complete peace, doesn't exist,
Mm.
because you still stay caught up in survival because it becomes a way of life. So it really is my first thought for anybody in that situation is, let's stop and take a look at, when do you feel most productive? Is it back over here when you're at peace? Because your creativity, your problem solving skills, your ability to really be on target, to be focused, to be clear, and also perceptive increases enormously. You know that when you're more at peace, and what I say to my folks, the way I phrase it is that you're sitting in this chair and the world you created is over there. So if you're in this chair and over there are all the jobs you've had, all the friends you've had, perhaps lovers you've had, homes you've lived in, cities you've worked in, all of those things are there. Over here is you.
Mm.
When you can separate from the life you've created, you have much more of an ability to look at things objectively, to see things far more clearly. When you're caught up in it, you lose perspective. You lose your ability to see things that over here, that 30,000-foot view, if you will, gives you the ability to see things from another perspective, gives you the ability to perform your job from your place of strength rather than a place of survival.
It's almost like a form of dissociation in a way, looking at things
It
from a third
really
party.
is. Yeah, yeah. And that, to me, spiritual detachment, whatever you want to call it, a healthy emotional disassociation, whatever term you use is irrelevant. It's that stepping back and looking that gives you the ability to more clearly assess, more intuitively know what needs to get done. Because you know that there are times we simply know inside this isn't working
Mm-hmm.
or this is. And if we step in silence and know this isn't working and we're detached a bit, we can more clearly see what needs to shift to make it work.
Yeah.
When we're in the midst of it and it's not working and we're working really hard to think, what was it? What was it? Really?
Yeah.
Think of what you're doing emotionally, spiritually, physically. And in terms of productivity, in terms of effective leadership, it's impacted. It's impacted. So that separation, that disconnection, to step back and be at peace, whether that's a walk in the woods, whether that is reading a book that has nothing to do with the office, whether it's entertaining friends, it doesn't matter what it is. Everybody has different stimuli that works, that brings out peace, that brings out that ability to let it go. But the illusion that if we're really good, we won't let it go till it's perfectly in alignment
Yeah.
is a belief system. That's a story we tell ourselves. And that's really part of what I work on with all of the people I work with. What are the stories you're telling yourself? I had a
Wow.
client who once said to me, I just really can't stand any of my employees. I can't stand any of them. And I don't know why they're not doing everything they're supposed to. The company's not going where it's supposed to. I said, well, if you can't stand any of your employees, what do you think of yourself at the moment? What do you think of yourself? Well, I'm not doing a damn good job either. Well, if you're not, how do you think you're treating them? So, how
Hmm.
do you think all of you are in survival and avoidance? Let's back up a moment.
Yeah.
Let's back up. So, by the time we finished working together, she said, one of the things you gave me above all the other pragmatic tips on how to run a business and how to do the things she loved to do and delegate the things her day was filled primarily with things she didn't like doing, when she had other people around who were asking to do some of those things because they loved it. And yet she wanted control because she had to get it working. That when she let all that stuff go and she did what she loved, which was developing her leaders,
Mm-hmm.
she was fed, the leaders were fed, they were recognized, the numbers started increasing, profits started coming in better. And she said to me, the greatest thing you gave me was, I remember why I started the business in the first place. I love
Yeah.
what I do. And if I can get you to love what you do, remember why you started it. Now let's look about what needs to be changed. And also, if this is your vision for your company and it's down here, if your company is going to get there, you've got to get there.
Mm.
The person, the man or woman who's running this company isn't capable of leading that company. Who do you need to become is equally important to what vision do you want if you're going to expand your company. You need to become somebody who can run a bigger company or a more productive company. You can't be where you are today and live that dream of the future. You've got to become that person in the future as well.